What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Nostalrius situation again. I made a video last week talking about it, and people saw it and just lost their minds. People went insane in the comments. So, in true Zyback fashion, I'm going to double down and shake the beehive some more, because it's always fun to rile people up. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about why legacy servers will not give us the desired result that we, the players, want, and what Blizzard wants. It's just not a good idea through and through. It's just a really bad idea. So first off, let's just go back in time to last week. People are talking about, oh, why did Blizzard take the servers down, blah, 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 blah. And no one mentioned this all-important thing about why they actually took the servers down. Blizzard knew, they had to know, that them taking down this vanilla server was going to go poorly for them in terms of PR. But they're forced to take it down because that's the way copyright and trademark laws in particular work. If you do not defend your copyrights and trademarks, specifically trademarks, you can lose them. So if Blizzard, let's say I start a private server and I'm friends with Blizzard and they don't take my private server down, they could lose their trademark on Warcraft because they're not actively defending the trademark. They literally have to take this shit down. You can't specifically target certain people that you want to enforce the trademark on. If you have a trademark on something, you have to, across the board, enforce it or you lose it. So that's a big thing that people just seemingly are not talking about. So keep that in mind. Blizzard, honestly, they maybe didn't even want to take the server down. If I was them, I wouldn't want to take it. I mean, it went poorly. It went as poorly as they thought it was going to go. So anyway, let's get started. So the number one reason why legacy servers are a bad idea is because there's an implication that Blizzard should fix the game or that the game should be a certain way if you're paying for it. So the thing is when you're playing on Nostalrius for free, there's no implication, like if there's something fucked up, if the servers are laggy, if the class balance is atrocious like it was in vanilla, if there's all of these gameplay problems, there's no implication for Nostalrius to fix it because it's a private server run by just random people and you're not paying for it. But when it's an official server, all of these things, it's not as acceptable. It's not the cool indie hip server that you can forgive the shortcomings when it's big bad Blizzard and, you know, feral druids are completely not viable at all for any aspect of the game whatsoever, and rogues are the best class in the game tenfold, doing top DPS without even using poisons because they can't use poisons because there's a debuff limit on the bosses. There's so much stuff that is wrong with vanilla that if we went back in time and people had to start paying for it, they would want the stuff fixed. And I played vanilla WoW. I was very young. I was 12 years old, but I very clearly remember just I feel like most specs were just worthless. Actually fucking worthless. I was a druid, so my only thing I could do competitively was heal. That's it. Balance, fuck you. Feral, fuck you. People will say, oh, fucking 3% spell. No, dude, no. Nobody used fucking balance druids. And if they did, it was because they didn't have a fucking another rogue that they wanted to bring in. So, yeah, that's a big one. The implication that they would have to fix, it just wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be that hip indie server. Like when Blizzard is doing it and you're paying for it, it's just not the same. Another thing, so when you go back in time and you go and play on a vanilla server, you're playing on that vanilla server with the knowledge that with the information that you know from the past. So people that are going on these vanilla servers, guess what they're rolling? Just take a fucking guess. Warriors and rogues. Why are there so many rogues on the Nostalrius server? I wonder. Maybe it's because they're literal fucking gods. So this is what's going to happen on an official legacy server, and this was what was happening on Nostalrius as well. There was a strict meta. Everyone played the same shit, only played the good shit, and the difference between actual vanilla and Nostalrius vanilla is that when you go back in time and play it, you know that there's not a patch coming where feral druids get buffed. You know, it's a very different environment when you know all of the outcomes already. It's just not the same. It's not the same magic experience. So anyway, to summarize, I just don't think that people would be as forgiving of the shortcomings of vanilla WoW if they were playing on an official Blizzard server and they were paying for it. Especially when it comes to class balance. That's the worst thing about vanilla WoW, was the class balance, and that even extended into TBC a little bit. The class balance in WoW didn't actually get decent until Wrath. And I'm coming from the feral druid. Feral druids were just bad for like 6 years straight. They were just fucking shit for 6 years, but I loved the game so much that I still played them. And then all of a sudden Wrath rolled around and I'm like the fucking ugly duckling that hit puberty and got big tits after summer break, and now all the boys want me for their Ulduar, you know, rank 1 feral DPS. It was a great, I fucking loved that about Wrath. Just, my spec became good, it was fucking great. On to the next thing. So, anyone that played Nostalrius in the final few months before it got shut down will know about the Chinese problem that they had. It was called the Chinese invasion by some of my friends that were playing Nostalrius. There's no other way to put it. The Chinese just invaded the fucking server, and with the bots and the RMT and AFK farming and BGs and just general RMT shittiness. Real money trading, that's what that stands for, selling gold. So this goes back to my last video saying how if Blizzard came out with legacy servers, they would have to support them much more than these guys were having to do. And I mean, these guys, their server took off, and were they going to be able to deal with that problem? Who knows? You know, there are a bunch of unpaid, just guys doing it for fun. Would they be able to fight off all those bots? Who knows? But this goes back to what I said in my last video about how Blizzard will attract those RMT companies and all of the shitty people trying to hack and exploit and make money off the game. It'll just take a lot more support than people are realizing. They're not going to be able to take 4 guys and run the server and then everything will be hunky-dory and they'll be making money hand over fist. It's just not going to happen. So, and since we're talking about regions, this is another thing that people are forgetting. If Blizzard, so I'm just going to come out and say I don't think there's enough real actual interest despite the fragmentation for legacy servers, but the fragmentation is something people aren't thinking of. If Blizzard comes out with legacy servers, are they going to do a US server, an EU server, a Russia server, you know, all the typical regions? Because that's splitting the already small population into even more little smaller populations. Then you have to think about all the people saying, oh, I want a vanilla server, I want a BC server, I want a Wrath server, I want a patch 3.3 season 7 server. When does it end? You know, I think this is, if Blizzard goes down this route, they're in a situation where they just can't make anybody happy because everybody wants their own specific thing. When the vanilla server is out for 2 years, do they move on to BC? What about the people that don't want to move on to BC? What about the people that want to go play Wrath? It's just, I feel like it's a never-ending thing. So you got to think about the fragmentation too. Moving on. So the big thing with this is that I have a feeling that people would get very bored of playing an unchanging, stagnant game for a long period of time. So Nostalrius was out for what, about 6 months, I believe? I could be wrong. But it was out for a fairly short amount of time, and they moved through the content fairly quickly. I believe they were getting ready to release AQ. So they had the content rolling out quickly, but then what? What happens after AQ if you're Nostalrius? I just have a feeling that people would get very bored of a stagnant game. Given enough time, given, you know, once they go through the content patches, what's left? You know, there's no changing. You know, feral druids are always going to be shit. Ret paladins are always going to be shit. It's an unchanging, you just know it's not going to change. That's the thing. Like if you're playing, let's say current WoW, and you don't like where your spec is, there's a chance at least it could change. With this, you just know it's not. And I think people would get just tired of that and they'd stop paying for it. And again, this is where Nostalrius had the advantage with it being an indie private server you're not paying for. People are more likely to forgive the shortcomings. Whereas with Blizzard, big bad billionaire, you know, Fortune 500 company, Activision Blizzard doesn't get that same sort of advantage in terms of the mindset. Alright, so I've been shitting on legacy servers for a while. And I do think under one condition that legacy servers could work for a short period of time. And that is if Blizzard stopped updating WoW. If WoW was put on life support and they said, all right, guys, we're done updating WoW. That's it. We had a great 15, 20 years whenever they decide to do it. Then legacy servers could be a cool thing they could do just for whatever, just for fun, for a quick buck, because I don't think it would hurt the game. For them to come out with legacy servers while their current game is being updated and to fragment the population between the two games and to have confusion between what World of Warcraft actually is. You got to think about brand identity and all that sort of stuff. So after World of Warcraft is done and they decide to pull the plug on it, then maybe they could do legacy servers, kind of like what I believe EverQuest has done that, because EverQuest is kind of in the same situation where I think they update it, but it's not really, it's not in the limelight. So I think they go back and do temporary legacy servers for that. I don't know the specifics, but anyway, I think it could work in that regard. But before I end the video, I do want to say that I fucking loved World of Warcraft more than a lot of my family members and all of my ex-girlfriends. I fucking loved WoW so much, so fucking much, from 2004 to the end of Wrath. What was that, 2010, 2009? I fucking loved the game to death. And I get it. I get why you think you want, I'm going to use that word, I get why you think you want it. I do. I get it so much. I had so much fun in vanilla WoW. It was magical. So much fucking cool shit. And I was a feral druid. I was one of the worst specs, one of the worst things you could possibly be. And I had a blast. And the same with BC, and the same with Wrath. And the thing is, I mean, those were very different. But I felt like the game, even though it changed, I still was having fun. With vanilla, I was just running around like a retard because I was 12 years old and questing and enjoying just the world. And then BC came out and I started getting into arenas and a little bit of raiding. And then Wrath came out and I really got into arenas and got really, really fucking good. And, the fucking, I get it. I so get it. I don't want people to watch this video and be like, he just doesn't understand why we want vanilla. He just doesn't get it. He didn't even play. Like, I fucking did play. Like, you can go back and look at my armory and see that I've got shit from vanilla WoW. So the thing is, guys, is that it's not gonna be the same. I mean, it might be the same for a few months, might be the same for 6 months, but what's the end game here? And if it's an official Blizzard server, people are going to want it to be updated. People aren't going to want their spec to be shit. People aren't going to want this rigid, non-changing game that they're still paying for. And that's the thing. So I think if legacy servers came out, people would want them to be updated. People want small, maybe not like LFR quality of life changes, but, maybe buff Feral Druid DPS. Maybe make Ret Paladins. Maybe make other tanks other than Warriors viable. People would want that. And with Blizzard, at what point do you just make a new game? Like, maybe make a new game with qualities of vanilla World of Warcraft? That's been my thing, right? I don't want to play vanilla World of Warcraft again. I just know it won't be the same. But I do want to play a game with vanilla World of Warcraft qualities, but with better game design. There was just a lot of shit about vanilla WoW that was just ass. Like, it was just ass. And I think people are forgetting that. And if people are going on to servers like Nostalrius and, willingly knowing that rogues are the fucking best class in the game. So that's why I haven't played personally on Nostalrius, but I have a strong inkling that rogues are probably the most played class by a lot. Then followed up by warriors. I have a feeling there's not a lot of feral druids or prot paladins in high-end rating or feral druid tanks in high-end rating. Loved it though, man. When it was back in its day, man, I loved it and I get it. But that's my stance on why legacy servers just aren't a good idea. I can't wait to see the like to dislike ratio in this video. I hope some of you guys watched it all the way through, that we're just gonna hit the dislike button. If you hit the dislike button, I'll be honest, I don't really give a shit. I think it's kind of funny. But maybe I gave you some insight on why they probably won't do it, and if they do it, it's probably a bad fucking idea. So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.